Today, I am with a expansion brother, as we call each other, 1998 Locked On Diamondbacks host, Millard Thomas. Millard, how are you doing? We have to talk because we are now linked with another trade after our Luplo trade last season. Now we have the David Peralta trade. So how are you doing today, Millard?
I'm doing good. Trade deadline is upon us. You're probably doing a little bit better than me. Your team is in a winning position out here, winning moves, buyers at the deadline. Well, my team is probably going to be sellers this year.
Gotcha. Well, first, I want to thank you for taking the time. Let's get to brass tacks here. People need to know who David Peralta is. You have seen him grow into basically this cult icon in Arizona. Anything that I've read on social media and articles seems like this guy is universally loved in Arizona. And I do not know if it's because of the on-field display, the off-field community help that he does. Can you kind of take us and summarize why David Peralta seems to be just a really lovable guy that every Arizona Diamondback fan seems to be really distraught about losing him?
Yeah, because David Peralta, he's not someone that ever made the All-Star team, but to D-backs fans, he's an All-Star. With his play on the field, he's reached great heights. He's been a 30 home run guy. If you look at D-backs franchise leaderboards, David Peralta is pretty much top 5 in every statistical category for D-backs nation. Like, this is one of the best people to ever don the Sedona Red in Arizona Diamondbacks history. He came through the minor league organization. The D-backs brought him up through his entire career, been with the D-backs 9+ years. So when you look at what he's done on the field, he's been a very good player for the D-backs, a Gold Glover, defensive player, a guy who can hit for you in the middle of your lineup, someone that could really great RBI producer, someone that you trust with runners in scoring position in those clutch situations, in high leverage moments. You know David Peralta is going to come through for you. But like you mentioned, also off the field, you won't find one story of anyone ever having a negative reaction with David Peralta. I know people right now, anyone who's ever worked for the D-backs organization, they're right now sending their stories and their messages to David Peralta about all their great interactions that they've ever had with him throughout their time, maybe working with David Peralta, because he's that kind of guy. He's a high value, high character guy. And you see it in those post-game videos that they were posting last year, him and Eduardo Escobar after Diamondbacks wins. Even though the D-backs are not a very good team, you saw David Peralta, Eduardo Escobar rallying all the guys together, doing dance videos, having fun, making people smile. And that's what David Peralta always did. Whenever he played the game, always had a smile on his face, always brought that energy to the ballpark every day. And that's what you want as a fan. You want the players that enjoy the game as much as you enjoy watch them play and play the sport. So for Dave Peralta to live up to a certain level of expectation on the field and off the field, be a great community guy, be a great positive leader in the locker room, and be a great player that can come through for you in those big moments at the plate, he's someone that's going to be surely missed by Diamondbacks Nation. And I think the Rays got a good one here. And for the D-backs, the return, I'm not loving that 18-year-old rookie ball catcher for a franchise icon like David Peralta.
Yeah, it seems to me that I love the trade, which should obviously, in a race perspective, tell you, maybe the Diamondbacks would not be so happy. I mean, again, Serta could become, a great ball player, but it is kind of a lottery ticket when you're 19. You're playing in the Florida Complex League. You have a handful of professional games, so obviously it does seem a little bit light, but I guess that's what the market dictated David Peralta was worth, and we will take it. Rays Nation is very happy to have him. For those that don't know, this is a guy who in 2022 is hitting 248, a 315 on base, a 457 slugging, 772 OPS. He destroys righty pitching, not so much lefties anymore. When you see that discrepancy between what he does against righties and what he doesn't do against lefties, has he just become a completely a platoon kind of guy for the Diamondbacks this year?
Not completely, but definitely more than he probably did in the past, because Torey Lovullo absolutely loves playing the cross matchups. Like the days he can, Torey Lovullo will put all righties versus lefties or all lefties versus righties. Like he's very old school in that way. So there's definitely a lot of days where David Peralta is sitting against lefties, but I wouldn't say he's exclusively platoon, because he's still a guy that you trust no matter if it's a righty or lefty on the mound. Like I said, in those high leverage moments in the clutch situations, he is someone that you're still going to trust in that 8th inning or later on. And still defense defensively from that standpoint, he's still someone that you want to have out in the outfield, in left field, because you know he's not going to make any mistakes there. He's not the most athletic player, but what he makes up for with his, maybe average athleticism, he makes up for it with his IQ. Very smart defensive outfielder out there. He can get to pretty much all the balls. Pretty solid arm as well. So David Peralta, I think, he's not a complete platoon player anymore. I mean, he's not going to be a complete platoon player, but he's not someone that's going to be an everyday player for you. If you're the Tampa Bay Rays, you are going to play him mostly against right-handed pitching, but that doesn't mean you can't play him against lefties, because he still brings other aspects to his game on the days he's playing against lefties.
I do like the fact that you are mentioning the outfield play, because I see that he's rated 80 in the 88th percentile for outs above average, 62nd percentile in outfielder jump. So, I mean, he is a Gold Glove winner, like you said. And, I can wax poetic about him too, even though he is just a Ray, has just been a Ray for one game, going 1 for 4. Because there's something that we call the Venezuelan bump in Locked On Rays. Anytime that there's a Venezuelan born player, I always give him the bump. So David Peralta, Freight Train. By the way, where did the Freight Train, where did that nickname come from?
That's a good question. I've actually never done the research on why he's called the Freight Train, but it is a fun nickname. And whenever he hits bombs or long doubles in the gap, the social media team is going to be like, oh, Freight Train off the tracks and everything like that. We're choo-chooing to the next station. And it's especially fun when you're playing like New York teams, like the Yankees or the Mets, and they got the subways out there. So you're going to do a lot of Freight Train related puns when he's killing those New York teams, because we know probably going to be talking later about how a team in your division is loading up right now for the postseason.
Yeah, no, and certainly, I think. But before we kind of move on a little bit, I just want to say it's nice to see moves happen when the offense needed some help. I mean, the Rays offense has just been kind of in a taciturn state, mostly because of injuries, and they needed somebody who can step up and provide some run production. I mean, this is a guy, a career 803 OPS guy. He has 12 bombs this year. It seems like he is hitting the ball hard still. He's in the 78th percentile in hard hit percentage. So you're going to get some production of him. They already used him in batting fifth, which is his best spot in the lineup. He's actually, when he's put in the fifth spot, he hits 274 with a 331 on base, a 479 slugging, 810 OPS. So this is a guy that now you can slot right in there in the middle of the action, and should be a lot of fun to watch play. Now, what is also fun, Millard, is eating some Built Bars. I love me some Built Bars, and they're so fun, and they've done it again, okay? Let me introduce you to our new favorite, Cookie Dough Chunk Puffs. Have light and chewy texture, real cookie dough chunks, and of course, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. All of the joys of eating cookie dough without the hassle of actually making it. Plus, it's healthy for you. Cookie dough chunk puffs are only 160 calories, and they have a whopping 15 grams of protein in them. So what you have to do is go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15, and you get 15% off your order today. So again, go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15, and you get 15% off your order at built.com. Well, Millard, David Peralta for Serta, fine. We've gone through it. How about the next moves for the Diamondbacks? Are you foreseeing in the next few hours any other big names being moved off the Diamondbacks roster, or do you think the Peralta one was the top name to go, and now that that's out of here, the Diamondbacks are done?
Yeah, I mean, I did a pod on Friday just power ranking the D-backs players I thought were most likely to be traded. And David Peralta was number one on that list just because he made the most sense. He was a guy who was going to be potential rental for somebody, going to be a free agent this offseason, not making a ton of money, around like $8 million. So it was going to be pretty affordable for someone as well. So he seemed to be the most likely candidate to be moved, a veteran that could definitely help a contender like Tampa Bay. But I wouldn't be surprised if the D-backs move some other players. I think Madison Bumgarner could be someone that other teams are interested in. Of course, he's someone that's been one of the greatest postseason pitchers of the last 20 years, right? Since 2000, he's basically one of the most clutch, elite, big game pitchers when you get to the postseason. We've seen what he's done in the World Series, like a 3-time World Series champion. So we know what he does in the big games. The thing is, he's a little bit older. The start to his D-backs tenure, the first couple of years were really bad, but thankfully we got Brent Strom to help turn him around. But Madison Bumgarner still owed $60 million over the last 3 years, so that could be a big holdup for someone. Christian Walker, I don't think he's going to be moved, but I think he's going to be someone that gets a lot of calls about, because he's someone that is still arbitration eligible for the next couple of years. So he's old and he's got over 20 home runs. So he's a cheap guy, going to be around an 800 OPS and hit you 30 plus home runs in a season. He's someone that teams are going to want. And the D-backs got guys like Mark Melancon or Ian Kennedy, back end relievers who have had a lot of experience in the closing role. So I think maybe teams will want those pitchers as well, potentially. And maybe even a guy like Jordan Luplow, a former friend of Tampa Bay, because he's still a very good platoon player. Double-digit home runs this year, can come in, pinch hit situations, and still do good in that area. Still pretty good defensive player. And the D-backs need to unclog some of their outfield spots, because they got some really young guys like Alek Thomas, Corbin Carroll, the number 2 prospect in baseball. He's on the precipice of being called up. So I think the D-backs want to clear some outfield spots, and maybe Jordan Luplow is one of those guys as well. So for teams that are just looking to improve their team around the margins, not get that big splash, not get the Juan Sotos of the world, but just wants to do, like another David Peralta type trade, and maybe you're missing a back end rotation member, a reliever, or just a platoon at bat. I think teams are going to be calling the D-backs to help fill out the edges on their team if they think they just need a little bit more for their playoff run.